That's my take on
But I would like a black one, but I don't want it ghost lettering. I would like regular lettering on a black car.
Yeah.
Because PDs have gone black.
Yeah. But just for what it's worth, it's possible that when they do the bid, they may say all we have on the lot is white. They tell me that the 2019s they're not building out anymore is what they're saying. Is that what they told you?
Mm-hmm.
So they put the bids out for what's current inventory. So maybe there's a black, maybe 2 black ones are on the lot. Maybe 2 white ones are on the lot.
Come back to us. We'll know on Thursday.
Let me know. I will notify the board, or Megan can notify the board, and we'll go from there. That'd be the easy way to handle that.
As long as they're black, order them.
We're
going Henry Ford.
Okay.
You got that joke.
Do we have anything more for the chief?
Yeah, well, we
No, wait a minute. Talking to Trustee Zay here.
Chief yet.
Do we have anything more for the chief?
I have nothing else.
Okay. All right. Now we'll move along. We'll change up a little bit. Greg, we'll let you in on whatever's going on. No amendments.
Right, not today.
Funny.
Not if you value your life ever.
Right. Wait a minute. Yeah. Law enforcement's right here. Get out. Well, on
freaking program there.
So where we're at right now is for the water system PER. We've completed the hydrant flow testing. We've balanced the model. We've pulled a ton of information from the village. No doubt we've been taxing Megan's office for a bunch of information. They've been pretty good at getting everything to us. So right now we have a balanced model. So the electronic system mimics exactly what's out in the field. And right now, what we're really trying to do is look at system deficiencies. And I guess I would report to you that hydraulically, based on like hydrant flow tests, you have only a few locations where there's below whatever the ISO guideline is for fire flow. So in general, your water system does deliver the water needs. However, what you still are faced with is having very, very old pipes in the ground. A lot of that unlined cast iron pipe is, approaching 80, 90 years old at this point. And it's essentially, a ticking time bomb. At some point, it's going to need to be replaced. And when it goes bad, it's going to go bad in bunches. In talking with Scott and the water guys, they have been noting an uptick in breaks. We actually had lunch not too long ago, and we were sitting next to a gentleman that I think was also part of the crew at one point, and they were discussing as to
Bill Hoover.
Number of water main breaks, and clearly there's more now than there was back then when he was working. So that's kind of in the mold of what happened with the Village of Wayland too. Kind of the same thing. Just once they really started ratcheting up, it was basically the Dutch boy of no matter where you try to fix one, another one would pop open. We also pulled the 2018 audit that the comptroller did on the water system, and to no one's surprise, water loss is probably the #1 issue that you guys really are faced with as water loss. So no doubt that water loss is coming with a lot of these old mains, particularly service connections. That's where a lot of the leakage, because every service connection is a penetration of the pipe. It's a weak spot, and usually corrosion and degradation of that material, that's where it kind of fails first, or in around those areas. So you guys are also blessed with a soil formation that will hide and mask any real water leak. You go to some other places and like the water, you get a water main break, it's coming up out of the ground. You guys have a lot of gravel, so it just disappears down in the groundwater too. You'll never see it.
So lucky us.
Right. The flip side of that is that if you do get some serious events where you need to open up multiple hydrants to fight a fire, you can draw your pressure down to a point where you run the risk of drawing in that groundwater. That is something that is obviously another reason towards replacing a lot of these old water mains. So I think where we're basically at right now is that we'll be strategizing, trying to come up with how do we fix all this. Obviously there's like the holistic approach, but then there's also, is there a way that we can tackle the more needy areas and then, break off and have multiple future projects to do smaller segments, in the future. A lot of it all depends on, the grant funding that we're kind of dealing with. And right now it's the WIA grant. The WIA grant cycle is done for 2018, but 2019 will open back up in that June, July timeframe. And that's really what we're targeting. So we'll have the PER and everything kind of all wrapped up sometime in January, February timeframe. So we'll be sitting in a good spot. So when the guidance comes out, probably early spring for the WIA, we'll be able to make those applications.
Is that what Wayland got, was a WIA?
Yeah, we got two parts. So we got RD money. They get the loan component, but they also got a grant component of about $1 million. And a lot of that has to do with the target service charge, which is based on your median household income, and then the RD tables. It's anywhere from like 1.5% to 2% of your MHI is what they consider as affordable. I would guess that they would probably apply Wayland's MHI or the same percentage to you. So I think
I'm assuming that means mean housing.
The median household income,
Yeah.
I'm assuming they would use the same target service charge ratio, that percentage. I think it ended up being like 1.7% for Wayland. So I would kind of think that Dansville's, guys are not too far apart. So I can't see them, tweaking that number that much. And then they get the WIA on top of that. And the reason why that WIA component is important is to understand what the grant is eligible for. So it's up to 60% of net eligible project expenses, capped at $3 million. So if you do the math, you're looking for a project that's somewhere in the like $5 to $6 million range to basically cap out your grant. And then on top of that, I did already reach out to Cynthia Newcomb from Rural Development to ask her for funding eligibility for you guys to see if the village would still be considered for RD funding. So that would open up, a 38-year loan, either at intermediate or poverty rate, depending upon MHI. But there's certain parameters that we have to kind of go through before they would say they would fund you guys. I'm not 100% sure, but I've reached out to them to kind of, check whatever pot of money that we can get into, I guess, so to speak. So everything's pretty much on schedule at this point to meet that application date. So once we get this done, then we can put together, Emily will do a WIA grant application. Or should be able to do that application. What else did we discuss?
The grant application will include the scope and the expense of a project.
Yes. Yeah.
So at some point you would have that information
Well,
to
the
provide
scope,
to us.
yeah, the scope and fee of a project will be that's one of the results of the PER. I'll probably want to get a meeting with you and Scott at some point to kind of talk about, some of the strategies that we have, at least in mind, as for areas for replacement. I know the southeast wedge has some of the older water mains, and there's more of them in that area. It seems like that would be a good area to address. You want to formulate a project that's going to help score you the most points towards your WIA grant, because the WIAs are competitively evaluated. So they have all their categories. You want to go ahead and make sure that whatever we're trying to wrap together as a project touches on as many of those components as possible, so you get points. But, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, you want to be somewhere in that, between that 5 and 6 million range to cap out that WIA grant. And
But
then,
that would still have to be like, what, 2.5 million of our money?
yes, yep.
You
That's-
said a maximum of 3 million, is that the maximum?
Yeah, the max is 3 million, unless, you know, the kicker would be is RD, thought your target service charge would end up to being such that they'd subsidize it to whatever, you know, their rural development curves say they should be. So, that's why Wayland still got $1 million. Their original offer was for more, I wanna say it was almost 2 million in, grant. But that was before they got their WIA award. Once they got the WIA award, they reran the numbers and, you know, came down to $1 million. So they're getting, you know, around 4 million in grant on their $8 million job. Almost 9. Does that make sense?
Sounds expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, it
Without
is.
knowing the-
You guys have a lot of old water main, you know, at some point you have to address it. It won't be ignored, because your water losses will just keep climbing and climbing and climbing. And then eventually, the health department will start citing you for those things. I think you probably would have been cited already had your sanitation review, be done by, the Hornell DOH branch versus the county. I think the county is less likely to give you scathing reports. Tom Clacius was all over Wayland, so I mean he cited them all over the place for everything, and it's really no different from there it is to here in the scenario. There's really no difference.
So for their $8
Small,
million
small.
project, how much water main were they able to do? I mean, like, you talk about the south wedge,
Right.
southeastern wedge, so I mean, like, a $9 million project would have to be something that's so big, because, I mean, I just don't know how to fathom that, because, you know, you're gonna pay on that, like you said, a 38-year loan.
Right.
But even in the interim, if that fixes just one little area, I mean, we still are talking multiple more, I mean.
Yeah, I think, you know, when we get to that point, I think we'd have to lay out, like, how much we're actually doing as part of that scope and fee for that project, or that scope and estimate for that project. I can tell you Wayland, we're replacing somewhere in the 40,000 feet of water main, but we're also building a new 1 million gallon storage tank. There's some master meters that are going in, and they're also doing some upgrades to the well houses. One for CT improvement, and then 2 to add orthophosphate for some corrosion issues. So it's not, you know, when you say it's, you know, almost 9 million, it's not just water main. There was a lot of other stuff that was going on as well.
How many, do you know off the top of your head approximately how many feet of water main we have in the village?
I can get you that number relatively easily. I do not have it off the top of my head, I apologize, but I can get you that number. That's not a problem.
We should take bets and put a bucket and see who wins.
Yes, like
I'm gonna go with a lot. I'm gonna go with a foot over what anybody else says, because it's a lot.
You gotta write it on a piece of paper. Well, there's 75 streets.
It's a lot.
So
Because then you're tearing out streets, you're blacktopping, you're.
Oh, yeah, that's.
I think that's basically it I have for the water main project, or for the.
How about our, wet weather,
Yep, so that, we were able to collect, and I think we completed our wet weather sampling on the INI.
mhm.
So now we'll put all that information together and we'll give you, a follow-up, report, based on those findings. One of the things that I was, stressing is that if there was some synergy between, the findings in the INI project where you have sewer problems that were also problematic streets where you would have a water main problem, you know, obviously you want to prioritize those areas and, you know, do both and get both off your list, before you looked at some other areas, you know. Same, I mean, obviously for the same thing with water main, instead of doing like just water main down one street, you know, if there's other areas where you have sewer and water, you want to focus on those areas first.
What's the schedule for having this information available?
The letter report, I would say, for the INI, it should be available before the end of the year. And then, like I said, for the water system PR, we'll probably finish that up probably around January, February. So probably, I would say March is probably a good time to have an informational meeting on that. And then obviously, we'll, when we have that, we can also, reiterate what we did for the INI, and see how those two might dovetail together. And then obviously for the INI, we want to look at when we get to the point of completing that study, if there's any additional field work that we want to do, like smoke testing or anything like that, or moving from the result of that report to an actual project to be financed. You'll have to do like a PER, the preliminary engineering report, that basically capitalize the whole project, put something out. But usually, typically it's the wet weather, dry weather sampling, flow poking. There's usually like a smoking phase that you got to kind of go through. So that's where they blow the smoke into the sewers, and then it'll come out
See where it
catch
comes
basins or come out downspouts and stuff like that. Floor drains, usually have to alert the authorities ahead of time, because otherwise you get a lot of false calls, particularly older villages.
Backing up a little bit, Greg, is, of course, Dan caught that. What is the southeast wedge?
I think that's that the older part of the village, that southeast little area.
I don't know, that's.
Well, the southeast section of the village would be the quadrant right over here. I don't know if we've ever called it a wedge.
Creek to
Up there by the water towers and stuff, and
that whole area that way.
So
the Moose Club back.
Yeah, so it's basically in this area right through here. This is where all the older, this is where a lot of the older, smaller diameter mains are concentrated.
We don't talk in wedges.
Yeah, this south.
Cities have wedges.
Yeah.
We
We got quadrants.
Okay, southwest, sorry. Yep, southwest.
So this is Chestnut up here.
Yep.
This is Knox.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was around here. This was
Southwest.
So you're wrong altogether.
That came to mind.
Apologize.
Southwest.
If I had the,
So the reason it is that's the oldest.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
right, that's the oldest mains. So there is, at some point there'll be a map that'll actually show, those target areas. All I had was the preliminary stuff, so. But yeah, you would target where we have your oldest mains at least I would think that would be one of the goals, is to try to eliminate as much of that old 4-inch line as you possibly could. Now, you don't have to jump to 8-inch mains or anything like that, but new 6-inch mains would be perfect. So
I looked down in that sewer street where they put that box in. Those
Yep.
were all the old water lines that were down, that he actually ripped out of there. Those
Yep.
were all water lines, like you said, 4-inch.
Yep. Yeah.
They weren't used anymore though, because they put new in since then.
Well, I know he put a new one across to replace
But I
the
mean,
stream
before
crossing
that, because I
because
said, how'd you get those out of there without stopping the water? So they weren't used anymore. They were an old pipe.
it might have been an even older pipe in that area. I don't know.
Maybe there's, because it was no. I don't know. Looks like it's been replaced once already.
Yeah, very well could have been. I mean, in some areas, yeah. So that basically covers, I think, the water and the sewer component, right?
Mhm.
Was there anything else we were going to talk about? We're going to target possibly CFA application for just about anything and everything, right?
Yes.
When we get to that,
Mhm.
when we get to that point.
CFA application.
That's
That's
the
a
consolidated funding application that you do by region.
Okay.
Yeah, there's, I mean, they'll have like,
It's usually in July or so you have to have it submitted by.
yeah, they have many different grants that are available, but they're through New York State, so that was one of the things that Cuomo pushed, was putting all the applications all at one time. So now grants people have to work their brains out for that 6 to 8 weeks ahead of that, instead of having it spread out throughout the year. But anyhow, we would look through that CFA and see if there was anything that applied to the village.
What that does is it allows the smaller entities, can't get into a lot of things because they just don't have the personnel to put them all in at once.
Right.
Where larger entities where there'd be more populous, you know,
Oh, yeah.
they're gonna they have more of the abilities to get in.
Right, yeah.
And that's where they're trying to push the money anyways.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
The other thing we got is our, capital planning projects.
Yep, yeah, and I think part of, you know, really what's gonna be in the capital, improvement plan, the CIP, is gonna really boil out of, you know, the water projects and sewer projects,
There's
really.
gonna be a lot more, but
Right,
those are probably some of the big ones.
yeah, I think those are gonna be your big tickets. So, at some point, we'll try to, quarterback some type of meeting so we can get like all the department heads together, that would, participate, in the capital improvement plan.
I just can't imagine, I guess, since I saw what's going on up there in the Sewer Street project, I just can't imagine how long this is gonna take to do this project.
That was the question I had, is when you get the money, what's the installation time they give you?
Sorry, for,
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
With the water line, say you're.
for
say
how,
You got
well, if you, all right, so say you have a project for water or sewer, and you get a grant. There usually will be a clock associated with that. It's normally somewhere in the 24 to 36 months to spend it. But you're not doing that yourself. You're hiring a contractor to come in and do that work.
Absolutely.
So, because I mean, it's just the reality of if there is some type of bonding that's going to have to be pulled, the timing of getting that bonding, when that gets reflected in, say, water rates or anything like along those lines, you want the work to be like at least, you know, partway done, rather than, you know, at the very beginning.
That would be way beyond our capacity
Yeah.
to handle that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you tie up
We get so
everybody.
far, we've gotten behind this year.
Yes.
Right.
And we have absolutely no ability to do that and do all the other stuff we've got to
In
do.
those programs, they want you to put people to work, you know, so they want you to hire contractors to do it.
No, I'm for that all 100%. Hiring that stuff done.
That's what's holding us up right now has been the weather. That's the big problem.
Right. So if you look at, for Wayland, for how much they're doing, they have about a 16-month construction schedule. So,
That's the other thing. I mean, the engineers are going to determine the length of the project. Not-
yeah, well,
not the
it's a
state.
lot of it has to do with like what we would anticipate for contractor progress is, you know,
Yeah.
really what
Look at the wastewater treatment plant. That should have been done in, what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
How many years it take?
Yeah, there's some matters on that one, so, for sure. But I mean, the water line work, you know, a lot of it has to work out to, like, you know, what their daily production would be for how much water main goes in the ground. In the setting that you're in, that's probably not more than 100 feet a day. Would probably be for a lot of the village streets. There's probably some other areas where it would probably open up a little bit, but when you're dealing with competing utilities, you know, sanitary laterals, gas laterals, you know, the existing water main has to obviously stay in place so you can serve water while you're building a new water main. All those things have to come into play, so it's not an easy project. It usually goes fairly slow, but you know, like I said, it's
So how would that work? What you just mentioned, okay, you have the lines that are there physically today, how would the replacement occur?
yeah. So in the case of Wayland, I've done village-wide essentially replacements. Wayland is going to replace about 80% of their water mains as part of this project. That's part of the reason why they went as big as they did, because they're like, okay, once that's done, then we're done. We don't have to do anything for, you know, another 30 years probably.
You won't be able to afford to do anything for another 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, their biggest problem was the water main. So, how does that happen? So we go out, it gets surveyed, we get all the information, record information, we plot everything, and then we try to find the best route to locate a new water main. Sometimes it's under a sidewalk, sometimes it's on a road. Hopefully, you know, there's areas on some of the other village streets, maybe not Main Street, obviously, that where you can get into a grassed area. Sometimes you have to get some easements, you know.
So what you're replacing just stays in place?
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. It gets abandoned in place, and then you just transfer all the services over once everything's passed all the necessary pressure tests and health standards.
It'd take quite a while just to survey the whole job.
Okay.
Depending upon, you know, the scope of your, you know, how much you're gonna do as
Yeah.
part of your water project. Yeah, I mean, you know, survey does take a while. Wayland, it took,
Will the GIS carry the old lines on it?
yeah, we have a lot of the old,
I'm
obviously,
saying
we have,
is-
we have the valves and the hydrants, and we have that information.
Well, like I'm saying, is right now, we're digging up stuff and we're finding it, stuff that we didn't know existed.
Right,
All kinds of pipes,
Yeah.
Right.
gas to water to sewer.
right. Yeah, exactly.
And will the GIS tell us what's in the ground?
Yeah, it will help. Yeah, it will definitely help. But,
You
you know,
didn't get, yeah.
It's not a guarantee.
it's not
It'll
like
help.
it's not like anyone pulled up the pavement and checked underneath the covers to go ahead and see exactly what's there.
I just get tired of finding stuff or having Scott find stuff and then
That's
it's
right.
all, everybody's scratching their heads and what the hell is this for?
Right.
I told you about the pipe down in there where the
Right.
box was. I don't even think Scott knew what the pipe was. It was just old pipe that was down there. How'd you know it wasn't used? It's
So
Right.
right now.
GIS tells the
Right.
next generation
Yeah.
what stuff is, but it doesn't tell this generation. It's not-
Well, we'll have some of it, we'll have some of
Right.
this
It'll tell you what the
generation.
new
It'll be-
water line is.
Yeah, it'll be better. It's better than what you have. You know, the GIS is obviously better than what you have now. You know, so it's all iterations of improvement of understanding where things are. But a lot of it has to do with record management. You know, so if we, you know, we're not managing our records and documenting what is going in the ground appropriately, then obviously stuff gets lost, and that's how you end up with, I don't know where that water main is, or
Or what that
I
is.
gotta call this guy because maybe he put it in, so maybe he knows what it is, you know, you get those situations. But that should happen a lot less frequently, you know, once you have this information.
So it happened in the old Bill Freeze days, everything was in a notebook.
Yeah,
You had to go see Bill to get everything out of the notebook.
Yeah.
Well, the only places where you'll ever know 100% are new developments.
right, yep,
Them are the only places where you'll know it's in the ground. You'll never know what's on Main Street in the
No.
ground because
right, yeah, that's,
who knows what they did over the course of
yeah, in
the years.
Geneseo, we did a project and we found that there was an underground tunnel. Just random, okay? So apparently it was part of the sewers, the old sewers. You know, it was an oversized tunnel that carried sewer and water, storm water, so. But it was, you know, one of those things where no one knew it was there, so we started digging.
And who's to say they're not here? You know, I mean.
Yeah, you never, well, I mean, yeah, I don't think you could really get away with a tunnel in your formation, because I think there's so much groundwater to deal with for, you know, portions of your town. So, and then, let's see, so that takes care of the water sewer. We've been helping out, obviously, down at the wastewater plant. I think that things are in pretty good order, down at the wastewater plant. I think we did get our final information for the industrial chemical survey. The results are, I think the hospital will be a significant industrial user based on flow, because it, you know, just their total consumption, I think, is what kicks them over. So it would be a very, very simple industrial user permit. We do have to have them do a frosting, but then everything can be submitted to the DEC. We'll have everything pretty much souped and done on that. And then I think there's anything else that was hanging out there. I think that's all I can recall off the top of my head at this point. If there's anything else that you guys got questions on, I know you see the bills, so if you got any questions on any of the bills, you know, just let me know.
Thank you.
No problem. Appreciate it.
When can we expect to see you again?
I'll probably come down in Christmas, around Christmas time frame, right?
Make it
bonus?
Make it the new year.
Just make
Nobody's gonna pay attention to you at Christmas time.
Not unless I come with cookies, right?
There you go.
Or some of those shirts.
Well, speaking of, I do need some sizes from you guys. I don't know. Does everyone XL?
No, I'm just large.
So how much? So I got 2 large, 2 XL.
Al?
So 3 large, 2 XL. Okay.
You gotta get your shirt sizes in.
Razor XL. Jeez.
Gave him all the arms. It's all the shoulders, right? That's what it is, yeah.
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 Some people like things tight.
All right, perfect. That's all.
Okay.
Good.
Thanks a lot.
No, thank you very much. And obviously, it's nice not to be thrown out the window.
Then you better run.
All right, thanks. All right. Thank you very much.
See ya.
Drive safe.
Yeah.
You guys have a great night.
Yep, same to you. Drive carefully going back.
Yeah, it's snowing a little bit, but it's really not that
I was
bad.
thinking more of the deer.
Yeah.
That time of year.
Yeah, the deer are crazy, so. It was not bad coming down, so hopefully that holds off. It was.
Don't forget your phone.
I would have known though, when I got in my
Lifeline.
car, my phone was trying to link up or whatever.
Lifeline.
I would have run them right back in, so, thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Have a
All
good one.
right,
See ya.
have a good one.
Thanks.
Okay, budget, finance, and audit.
That stomach ain't done that one.
Not a thing, okay. Where do we stand on Freed Maxit? Do we have any feedback from them, or do they have everything they need?
No, he just sent me an email yesterday, asking for something more. They want more reports. I saw it today, but I haven't even really looked at it. But that came through yesterday. So hopefully it's just something easy. So, yeah, so he has, I don't know, I mean, so we've given them everything up to this point. These are new requests.
Okay.
So that's good. That's good news.
Brian will be here tomorrow, so you'll get your reports
Yeah.
after that's, like, he's done his magic. We're being
Yeah,
a day
Brian will
early
be
this
here
week.
tomorrow. The state had some questions on our annual update document, so we'll respond to those as well, while he's here. And also, I've been working on entering, the information for the budget to be able to pass along the tentative version of that.
Yeah, you had that meeting last week. Has everyone turned anything out of the ordinary with that?
Which meeting? Oh, the one with the health department?
No, you had the meeting where everyone's gonna turn in their budget.
Oh, well, we didn't really have a meeting. They're supposed to have given everything to
Yeah,
Megan.
everything's coming to me. I'm basically still working on inputting my stuff into the software right now. And then I'll do everybody else's as they come in. I have some, but not all. So, but I'm plenty wrapped up in like putting my own numbers in for now, so that's okay.
The
But
anticipation was that, yeah, this is gonna take a little while.
yeah, that's why he gave us an earlier deadline. But that's going along good. And then we talked earlier, we may have a couple budget modifications, but we'll know for sure tomorrow, or as everybody gets their bills in, and then I can run a summary report and see where we're at.
Okay.
There's gonna definitely have to be one, because we were cutting trees and stuff, and that budget line was already at 0.
Yeah.
So they're gonna
A
have
couple
to
of
be,
good sized trees we had to take down there, had to bring in that.
there'll have to be budgets for
But we might
that.
not know until we get those bills
Get the
in,
bills.
or until Scott gives us the amount or whatever.
That's what he was doing today, was spending all the time doing
He's
bills.
doing bills today, so he should be bringing those in for us tomorrow.
Guys were out today doing, leaf pickup.
Yeah, I see they hit it, must be they got some of the village on Friday also, because I put leaves out on Thursday night, and they were gone Friday when I got home before the snow, so.
Yeah, they haven't hit our area yet. I know that, I saw them on Elizabeth Street, so they're moving.
Well, now it's even worse, because now they're wet and soaked, and it's
Let's hope it doesn't freeze, cause then the only way they're gonna do it is with a loader and a dump truck.
I noticed, like down on Maple Street, that they had brought in, someone had milled up a little bit of an area, and they patched that. Is that what we're considering for the year for mill and fill, or what was that?
No, that's probably all that's gonna get done at this point. He brought in Quinn, and they were doing a lot of patchwork throughout the village.
Yeah, because I see that was where the water.
But I don't think he was done yet, and so I'm not sure where we stand.
So probably, yeah, that's
I think Scott said all those places are closing down next week,
Getting close.
like,
we're probably looking at any milling and filling in the springtime.
What did they say?
Was there any,
Something-
did
somebody
with the
said
budgets and
tonight
stuff,
they
was there any big projects that were scheduled for
blacktop
next
or
year?
something.
Well, we got Bank Street. Still gotta do that. We got, North Elizabeth. which, that was, we're
Bank
hoping.
Street was just a topping though, right?
Well, no, they gotta put the pipeline down through there, the water line.
Hell's Bank.
Bank's over here, just past,
Over
West
that
Liberty.
big
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I was thinking the next one over where they just.
Oh, Knox, you're thinking Knox.
No, no, the next one,
The water.
Adams.
Adams.
That's gotta be, top
Top,
coat on that
yeah.
one. And I've heard about that too, but that's another story.
Oh, I know McDonald's they had to have blacktop. They're probably not gonna get that.
Any other big projects at all?
For next year?
Yeah.
Well, other
That's
than
fine, I think.
maybe do that other section of the creek down there that we've got.
Well,
the
we've got the
stone.
stuff for that, so
Yeah, that's just time.
maybe we'll be able to use some.
No, talking with Scott, the whole idea, next year's gonna be a catch-up year.
I was just thinking the same thing. It's gotta be a year of milling and filling and getting those done, the projects done that,
Yeah,
and
stuff
not
that-
add anything to it.
No, short of an emergency, which inevitably, there's always some project will come up that,
After learning what we learned, I learned this.
No, I agree. It
Yeah.
just seems
My
like,
opinion is stay away
and
from.
then we got to,
subcontracting jobs.
we got a lot of fire hydrants that gotta get replaced. So, there were a ton of them when I came in and they didn't get any better. I mean, we've replaced a lot, but they're out there. And I think Scott mentioned a couple of weeks or meeting or two back where, you can hear the water running in the ground.
There was a ton of them,
Yeah.
a lot of them.
At one point, they had, I think it was rural water come in and, they just gave up because there were so many of them. I mean, not that they're not functional, but it's a project that needs to be attended to. I mean, they're not gonna get any better on their own anyway.
I just don't need anything to add to anything, like no tearing up of a street and
No.
need to just
We
kinda
can't, we
get caught
can't,
back
we haven't
up.
got the time for that, not next year. We'll do what we said we were gonna do and catch up on all this other stuff that's gotta
I
get
think that'd
done.
put us behind the eight.
Yeah, I just kinda like to see like a list of, okay, here's what we didn't get done. I mean, we had a list at the beginning of the year, maybe kinda see, okay, this is next year's list.
Mm-hmm,
You hate to kick the can, but there's no other way.
yeah.
Time and money. Ran out of both.
Okay, let's see, what else, Parks and Rec, how about we hit that one? I should be sending in the, downtown historic, district walking tour project tomorrow, cause everything is done on it.
When you get
And
that sent in, will that be ready to go so people can,
it is ready to go.
now, we can just go and download the app?
Yep, once they get it posted up on either the Android side or both Android and the, Apple side. That may take another week or so, but.
When that comes up, will you send us out an email?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to go and,
It's fairly simple right now, baby steps, but, we can add on to it, that's the nice thing, we can even do separate tours. So once you got it set up, it's fairly easy there on. Now I know all the mechanics of it too, so it's. Let's see, and the Claire Barton Committee is coming together. I actually talked with Chris Geiselman, who had the original committee a number of years ago. And he had a whole folder of all the stuff they did, so that's gonna make the current committee's job real easy. And the big thing they'll run into is raising the money. But right now, we're looking at people like Tom Wamp, John Shea, Jenny Liuzzi, Bob Smith, of course, Chris Geiselman. Got some pretty good players on the committee. And I gotta check with Leo Marks and his wife, Mary Jo, to see if they're interested in it. And the only other person I think that I haven't heard from is Greg Hoare. See if he's interested in doing it. So it's a pretty solid committee. And I say Chris has done, this committee, they spent about 2 years doing the legwork for it. Now it's just a question of putting it all together and running with it. But that'll be we might be able to get some grants for that through the Park Service. That's what we're hoping for. I think it'll be cheap. But it'll be something to start taking some credit for. The only other thing I had, and I've mentioned this, is a gazebo over here.
I was just gonna say that.
That thing has been vandalized to no end. I don't know if Scott's gotten over there yet to replace the flooring. But the whole wedge, that thing's pie, and someone took a whole wedge out of it. So you could see right straight through the
And they'll
basement.
be over there here, winter in the village, just. with
Now,
the
that's gotta
kids.
be done before then, because that
And
will
that's
be,
coming up here in a couple,
they've
3
knocked,
weeks.
yep, first of December. And they've knocked out spindles, they've written all over it. I don't know who put the blue trash cans over there, but they look hideous. I think we could do something better than that. I've talked with Scott about that, but
There should be carry in, carry out, it's not like it's our park where they're.
I know it's not a, it
It's not
shouldn't
like
be that
Stony
big an
Brook.
issue, you know. I don't know what it would take to put a camera on that, because it seems to be an annual problem. The other one down there in Williams Park was the same way, but that was hidden. This one here is a little more exposed. I'd like to think we can, and it's also closer to the PD. That maybe we can get some cameras for it or something, I don't know. Just something to think about anyway. And codification, last item I've got. We've got the latest and greatest version of the thing. It's down in Megan's office, but I'm gonna put it up here starting tomorrow, so that any of the board members wanna take a look at it. Tammy's reviewing hers, I've reviewed some of it, a good chunk of it. So you're all,
Is it electronic or is it?
it is electronic. I could, I put it this way, I got a copy of it. I can send it to each of you if you'd like.
What is it, Mayor?
It's our code, laws.
Oh, okay.
It's all in one binder, as it were, or one, it's all put together. In other words, you don't have to go down in the office and go through multiple binders, looking up stuff that you have no idea where it's at.
How many pages?
Lots.
I figured.
Probably impossible.
But I can say, I tell you
Mine
what,
electronically.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's gonna,
If
gonna bind something up,
yeah,
download it, be a whole.
Tammy has the CD, that's what I gave her.
is that what you gave her?
Could we could try to burn it, I don't know if it's,
Well, that's what I did over here, I copied it onto my,
oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
so
We could probably burn
I'll send
the
that out.
CDs,
I'm pretty sure I
or
still
you
have
can
it.
Send it, yeah,
Yeah, it's
Maybe
a
easier to put them on CDs.
PDF file.
okay.
I'll try it that way tomorrow, see if I can get it to you. We have to have it back to general code on the 7th of December.
Last time we sent it, I think we did it in like 4 attachments, that type of thing, but there was a lot more information then.
Yeah.
Because that was before we got rid of a lot of things.
I'll see what it takes to move around, and we'll go
This
from
is
there.
just for the village, right?
Yep. What will happen is when they finish up with it, we'll have, 2 hard copies? And then there'll be, it'll be online, it'll be right on our website, you'll be able to look up all of our code right there. Nobody will have an excuse for not being able to read the law. Because they can't, if they don't have a computer or whatever, they can go down to the library and access it there. The public library. Anyway,
Free public library.
yeah. Is there any unfinished or new business that needs to be brought up?
I talked to Doug Koval, it sounds like he passed his training. Have you heard any update from Scott?
No, I haven't heard anything recently. I talked to Doug, about a week and a half ago, and he was moving right
sent me
along.
some picture of a computer screen with a score on it.
Yeah,
Said, I'm all done, or something, so
well, I hope so.
hopefully, right?
That's a little faster than I thought he'd get it done, actually. I think he's, Doug's been motivated since he's had a little more share of the
Change of
authority
heart.
down there.
Yeah.
He's been working with Aaron from MRB, and he really enjoys working with him, and he's learned quite a bit. So everything seems to be moving well.
Maybe the other person wasn't that easy to work with.
Apparently not, but we'll not get into that.
Well, roundabout way.
No, it's,
They just didn't understand each other's lingo.
no, they didn't. They didn't. Anything else? Okay, I would entertain a motion to go back into executive session for a very short item. And then it would be a quick vote and we'll go home.
Motion.
Quick vote on
This
whatever.
will be a disciplinary matter.
Okay.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I have a motion from trustee Zay.
Second.
Trustee Nagel got in first.
Call him.
And with that, we'll, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll give you the results of that unless you want to stay around, because we'll go back in the back into open session for the vote. But
I'll just go home.
yeah, I figured you probably would.
Thank you.
How's the pool?
Wonderful. We're in it every